So recently, I started to develop a deep interest in knowing the history of our forefathers, how the slave trade really happened, and how millions of Africans were forcibly taken away across the Atlantic Ocean, and how simply they disappeared from their homeland. At some point, I began to ask myself some serious questions like, what actually brought about the slave trade? These and more are the questions that had been running through my mind. After my research online, I realized I needed more answers to all these questions. So I traveled to Badagry to get clarity on the questions that had been running through my mind. In the southwest of Nigeria, it is almost impossible to talk about slave trade without mentioning Badagry, because Badagry was one of the major coastal towns involved in the transatlantic slave trade. One thing you need to do for me is you need to watch this video to the very end so that you can truly understand what I actually learned in Badagry. But before then, if you are just getting to know my channel, Ajayi is my name, and what we do on this channel is we tell simple, real and meaningful stories just like what you are watching. And please do well to click on the like button, share with friends and family, and subscribe, because that is the only thing you can do to help this channel to grow. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video.
So the compound we are is called Brazilian Barracoon. And Barracoon is a Portuguese word meaning slave cell.
Nearly 200 years ago, this building had cries, chains, and footsteps of people who did not know if they would live or die.
In this compound, we have 40 rooms. Each of the rooms, 40 slaves were stored in each of the rooms. A minimum of 1,600 slaves were brought into this compound at a time. These are the European products they use in the estate of human beings. In Nigeria, they spend calories. The white people cannot use our own money, and that's why they brought all these items they use in the estate of human beings. In Nigeria, then, a value of an umbrella 40 slaves. Before you can collect one umbrella from a white man, you will need to bring 40 FTN. A bottle of gin, 10 slaves. A bottle of gin, 10 slaves. And there's a man who also brought his wife and daughter to collect a bottle of gin there. A big cannonball, 100 slaves, while a small cannonball, 40 slaves. What do they use a cannonball for? They use it to wage war within themselves in order for them to get more slaves so that they will be able to sell to the white man. So kettle and the bead and the brass dish are the items given to Seriki by the Brazilians as a gift. And mirror doesn't have a specific number. It depends how you can bargain with the white man. This well was dug in 1847 by the slaves. And this is the water that served the slave in this compound then. And this water is still serving the people that live in this compound up to now.
My visit to Brazilian Barracoon really taught me a lot, because I learned how women's lives were being prized. Can you imagine that something as simple as an umbrella could be exchanged for 40 enslaved people, and also a bottle of drink for 10 enslaved people? Now that we know better, it was really shocking to realize how human lives were being valued back then. Let me digress a bit to share the history of the man behind the Brazilian Barracoon. The story of the Brazilian Barracoon cannot be fully told without talking about the man who ran and controlled the affairs of the building.
And there is a man that owns the compound. This man is called Seriki Williams Abbas. His birth name was Ifare Mileko. So how come Ifare Mileko now bears Seriki Williams Abbas? He was captured at the age of 6 in a town called Jogaulile in Ogun State. So the first person that owns him as a slave is Abbas. Abbas came from Idaume. Idaume today is in Benin Republic. So he took him down there. He used him as a domestic slave. Abbas later on resold him to a white man called Williams. It was the Williams that took him down to Brazil and also used him as a domestic slave. So when he was in Brazil, Williams sent him to school. He taught him how to read and write. And later on, he called the man, if you want me to release you, you are going to work for me. The man told his master, whatever anything you want me to do, I'm ready to do it for you. So that's how Williams brought him back to Nigeria. And when he came, he first settled down at Lagos Island. So as I'm talking to you now, he has so many houses in Lagos Island before moving down to Badagry to come and settle down. And when this man came to Badagry, he was given a title called Seriki. Seriki means head of the Muslims. And up to date, the family of the man still remain the Seriki Muslimi of Badagry up to date. So that's why the man is wearing Seriki Williams Abbas. His birth name disappeared from the name. So when this man came to Badagry, he also went back to Ogun State, where he was captured. He founded 2 towns in Ogun State. He founded Ajayi Crowther in 1902. When you get to Ajayi Crowther today, you'll see the statues of the man at roundabouts in Ajayi Crowther. And also founded a town called Idogo, also in Ogun State. So I'll talk about the man later.
From being a victim, Williams Abbas became a slave merchant. He became extremely wealthy through the slave trade. So I realized that Badagry was not just a place where people were taken away. It was also a place where some slaves were returned, and one of them was Ajayi Crowther. During my visit to the Brazilian Barracoon, I was told that the 4-story building in Nigeria was nearby, and out of curiosity, I decided to visit to learn more about the building and the story of Ajayi Crowther.
This building was apparently completed in the year 1845 as a vicarage, a mission house. And until 1972, when UNESCO announced it a monumental structure that the church now take a step to move the missionaries here to another site. And of course, they moved to another place in 1976, and this place now become a full tourism center. And this building is today standing for 180 years. It's not that old, with 6 bedrooms, 2 living rooms, and 4 storage rooms. At the time of completion, it was very expensive, if not the most expensive structure in this area, because it costs 325 British pounds to build there. The missionaries who owned this place were from Church Missionary Society, CMS, and they are the Anglican Church today. So we'll go around to the building and just see of the room. If you have any question, you can call me back. This is part of the material used for the construction. The roof. Activity of this and check it out. These are the 2 oldest Bibles in Nigeria. So these 2 Bibles, this very one here, is the first known Bible in Nigeria, which was brought in 1842 by Reverend Townsend. This one here is the first printed copy of the Yoruba Bible, which was brought in 1846, printed in 1845, translation completed in 1845 in this room by Bishop Ajayi Crowther, who was the head of interpretation and translation. And Ajayi Crowther was also the first black bishop of the Church of England, Anglican community. And this Ajayi Crowther and his son, the intercessor Crowther. This is Dutch English.
Is what?
Dutch English.
Okay.
Dutch.
Okay.
Brick and wood, all from 1842, which was used for the construction. You can see the floor and the walls of the house made from all this material. The wood for the deck and the hinge to mount to the doors. These are all the materials from 1842, which now 183 years old.
Yeah, so do you collect money from them? So it's free.
So you come in here. This is the map of this compound as at 1843, and this is where we are. This building here was where the first school in Nigeria started from, and the name of the school is called St. Thomas Anglican School. which started in 1843, unofficially but officially 1845, with some young people. I call them young because the school then was named Nursery of the Infant Church before it became St. Thomas, as the youngest of them was around 42 years, and the eldest of them in the school was around 57. The school building, the schoolmaster's neighbor and church, interpreter's house, clinic, interpreter's house, and shelter, then security post, kitchen.
This is Badagry, Nigeria, a town where thousands of Africans lost their freedom and where a few return to change history. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe, and let me know in the comment how you feel about it. Thanks for watching, guys.